Hello, freak bitches.
Hey, check this out. I wanted to ask you, what do you think? Is Trump going to do anything about the stratospheric aerosol injections?
Write that down. Because
I don't
Wait
need
a
to
minute,
write
you
it
guys
down.
are we talking about chemtrails now?
Do it.
No, we're talking about
Write
stratospheric
a note.
aerosol
Now,
injections.
here's the thing. I can't get to any of the points that you won't let me,
What do you think Trump wants to stop that?
I'm going to write it down.
Write
What down?
The next question. I'll do it here.
That's the question.
That's the question. He just
The
said.
question
I
is,
want to
do
get
you
the last
think-
5 before that.
Alex Jones is off the rails right,
right.
now, folks.
I'll do it.
Bring it in.
Why do you want me? I didn't
get.
get the joke. Why do I have to write it down? I didn't get it.
Because you've been bad.
Listen, Alex, is Trump gonna do anything about that? That program to stop
Yeah,
global
he'll do
warming?
something about it.
Well, what do you think the program is, Eddie? What do you think the program
No,
is?
the director of the CIA is talking about it on YouTube. Look under John O'Brennan.
I've seen
John
it.
O'Brennan.
They talk
He
about
talks
strategies. They talk about
stratospheric
strategies.
Aerosol injections. It's going to cost $10 billion a year, and there's going to be some countries opposed to it because it's going to mess up the
Are
weather.
you telling me about atmospheric manipulation?
I'm talking about stratospheric
Geoengineering.
aerosol SAI.
I've never heard of that.
It's super important when you can break it down to 3 letters.
Yeah, let
No,
me go
that's
over
what
it.
John O'Brennan admitted in June of 2016 at the CFR.
I saw the video.
at
I know.
the
Let
CFR.
me comment on it.
Can you play it, Jamie? Look,
But
you
let
can
me
just
comment.
go John O'Brennan.
I've been talking
Let
about this
Alex
forever, and
comment
Joe,
on it.
I'm not bashing you, but you had your TV
Please
show,
don't.
made jokes about it, which I get because a lot of it's BS. There is an entire atmospheric terraforming, geoengineering manipulation. They don't call it chemtrails, and of course, the CIA director admitted they have this huge program. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation owns the major patents on it from Westinghouse and others. They use these big antennas to manipulate the weather. They can, like China is like causing huge
You're talking
rains
like
and stuff.
HARP? Like HARP,
yes,
that
HARP
kind of
type
shit?
technology. It's all declassified.
Do you think HARP manipulates the weather?
They admit it does. I used to have the head of HARP, General Benton K. Parton, on all the time. But exactly, there's giant weather modification systems, and there's weather wars between different governments, and it's all declassified.
Let's explain to people that are listening what HARP is. What does it stand for? High altitude something.
Yeah, they've got a system that supposedly, well, you don't know what HARP really was under its classification?
What does it stand for? High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program.
Yes.
So the idea behind this was they wanted to do research on the aurora, and didn't they want to see if they could communicate using it and send radio waves
They wanted
that bounce
over
off
the
the
horizon
ionosphere?
radar.
Right. Yeah, that, and they also wanted to be able to send radio signals to places where they wouldn't
But
reach,
HARP
right?
doesn't really go
But what
into
does that have to do with stratospheric aerosol
HARP
injections?
doesn't really go into the atmosphere.
Well, the speculation,
do-
the
what's that?
I know all the
speculation,
HARP
Eddie.
secrets. I've interviewed the private head of it.
Okay,
I actually know the HARP
but
secrets.
Okay.
I don't know why the
HARP
Pentagon
secrets?
decided to let him on my show.
How does HARP work
He
with
came on.
How does HARP work with the chemtrails? What do they?
Let me tell you.
What goes on?
Okay. Only a micronic amount, a small amount of what HARP does is in the atmosphere. It's bouncing off the aurora borealis and then resonating back through in a deep Earth communication program to satellites and other things through the planet. So it's something so you can communicate to satellites, through the satellites down to the submarines.
So here it goes. This is an actual definition, how HARP works. The facility's transmitters send
According
radio
to who,
waves
though?
upward.
According
But
to
hold
who?
on, let's just read it first. Waves upwards into the ionosphere between 100 and 350 kilometers of altitude. The resulting heating effect creates irregularities in the electron density there, which in turn allows communication signals as from satellites to be relayed off the ionosphere.
And that's not what it really does. Then they can shoot the satellite frequency coded through the Earth to submarines.
Now, what is this website from that
Then the
explains
submarine
this, Jamie?
puts up a buoy. You want the real stuff, I'll tell you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Buzz
Nature
Aldrin
magazine.
tell you?
let me explain something.
Okay,
No,
nature.com.
I had the head of the HARP program on.
I'm just fucking with
I
you,
got
Alex.
contacted about 10 years ago, and they said the head of the HARP project really likes your work. He'd like to come on, the interview's online, and he'd like to come on and tell everybody. And about 30 minutes in, a colonel came on the line and said sorry during a break and cut the guy off.
Wow. Dum, dum, dum.
I mean, this really happens.
Cue spooky music.
Cue spooky music. But let me get back.
I believe you.
No, it's a true story.
I want to know.
I want to know that. I want to know the relationship between. Like, what do the chemtrails have to do? Do you think Trump is going to look into the SIA project that the CIA has greenlit?
He is starting out with vaccines, as I told people he would do, investigating all the damage they've caused. and why they've been
Ultimately,
able-
no, ultimately, that's good too. Start the vaccines, get that shit together too, for sure. But what about the SAI programs that the CIA has greenlit? You think he's going to get into that?
Yeah, I think it's next level. Soon we won't even communicate with these microphones. The internet's just going to be like,
Do you
I won't have to
think
explain
Trump
it all.
is
Eddie,
going to do anything about
you're
that?
so locked onto this.
I'm just like, what
here's
does he
the
think?
problem with all this SIA shit. Most of what you see when you see those jets flying around, those clouds behind them, most of that is just a jet
Condensation trails.
engine. Exactly, the
And
jet
then everybody
engine
confuses that with the real program.
changing.
What's the
yeah.
real program?
Well, here's the thing. You're right, and so is Joe, because the world's complex. There are secret and quasi-secret and public programs to test manipulation of the weather and weather systems. The Arabs are doing it. The Chinese are doing it. The Russians are doing
Well,
it.
people have been cloud seeding for 100
He's not
years
talking about
now.
cloud
The
seeding.
Chinese were doing
that's
it
too.
500
That
years
is
ago.
weather manipulation.
But they're doing it for different
know.
purposes,
Let me
not
tell
not to
Okay, do
produce
you want,
crops.
Right.
Okay, I had Ben Livingston,
Keep going.
the head of the U.S. weather weapon program for 27 years, on my show first because I saw it was declassified. I saw that he was in the Panhandle of Texas. I called him running a major cloud seeding company with his son and got the 90-year-old to Austin. And then after that, he totally freaked out because the CIA came to his house. Do you want the interviews on YouTube? Do you want to know what he said?
Yes.
All right, he was a World War II fighter pilot. And at the end of World War II, he flew the first planes into hurricanes, which are in the Atlantic,
That's pretty gangster.
and into typhoons that are even faster in the Pacific. And then he also led squadrons in Vietnam, flooding everything up to 10 feet of water out of clear blue skies within hours.
What a badass.
with their chemicals.
What kind
Then-
of a
planes.
badass you have to be to do that?
A super badass.
Fly into a hurricane or a typhoon? Jesus
Yeah, he's
Christ.
the first guy to do it.
Holy shit.
Anyways, he's super badass. I don't even know he's alive. He's Ben Livingston.
Right.
At 90, he was still all there, and I thought at 90 he could kick my ass.
What a
He was
fucking-
big Texan. I felt like the guy was tougher than me. Anyways, so we're sitting there, and he gives me all this data, and I can't believe it. He's giving me all these classified photos and stuff because they just declassified the file. And no one thought to call the old man from Lubbock or whatever it was.
Right.
So I call him. I get him on. They sent a bunch of people to their company and threatened them the next week after I heard it. And he laid it out. He said, in 1967, we certified at the Stanford Research Institute that he was able to control hurricanes, create hurricanes, and steer hurricanes. All that got black budgeted, shut down, and then they got into these arrays where they could use antennas. And out of that, in Westinghouse, came the whole HARP program. So in the 60s, they could create, control, and steer or kill hurricanes. That's why you Google now, Bill and Melinda Gates bought all those patents. And, quote, Bill Gates is going to save the world from bad weather. Bill Gates wants to stop hurricanes. Google it.
So let me
Bill Gates
ask you
owns
this.
the weather machines.
Let me pause for a second.
Yeah.
How do they manipulate a hurricane? So the hurricane's going to happen. How do they break it up?
Okay. If it's coming into land's their problem with aerial arrays projecting into the sky, they can break it up or strengthen it or kill it or steer it because it's all computerized.
And they're doing that with HARP?
Well, they've got HARP bases all over the place. They call them Doppler radar facilities. Oh, the government wants your local city to have Doppler radar.
I thought that was like so you could have the guy in front of the screen.
But that's at like 1/10 of 1%. They can crank those arrays up that have massive. Your lights might go out when they do it a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, because they'll use the whole power of your town through the Doppler radars, and then they control it. The U.S. has a giant weather weapon hidden in front of everybody in every town and city, and poor Russians and Chinese are just discovering it all. The U.S. has weather weapons that can knock them all out right now.
Can Bill Gates control the weather? Ideas for barges to pump cold water from the depth of the ocean to create some sort of a roadblock for the hurricane. Since hurricanes pull power from the water's warm temperatures, cooling the water could theoretically lessen the impact of outright dismantle the hurricane. Well, it sounds like a good idea, though.
No, but the point is, look how loving he is.
But doesn't that sound like a genius idea? You spray cold water into the air.
It always does.
It'll cool off the
Chemtrails,
hurricane.
John O'Brien in the front of the CFR is saying we're doing this because for global warming,
Eddie,
we got to save the planet.
You are right about
Right?
about geoengineering and chemtrails. You are wrong about the dinosaurs not being real.
But hey, what about that? They're coming out saying, hey, there's going to be some countries that aren't going to be for it, and we got to figure out how we're going to deal with them. Because
do you want me to
give
give the audience the big secret?
Yes. What's the big secret?
Keep going with that weather manipulation. Keep going with that. Come on, man. Don't change the subject. Keep going with that. You're not done with Livingston.
Okay.
Imagine, it's good you're here, but imagine me and Joe were actually.
Come on.
You got me off on. You want me to hear about Ronald Reagan too, don't you?
Later. Finish the SAI program.
Well, he doesn't know about this.
I know about it, but it's like a minor deal.
What do you know about the SAI program?
Look,
Let's get this done with.
Most of the real programs are just like fronts for something else. It's not even real.
So you don't think they're spraying shit into the atmosphere?
No, there is a program for geoengineering.
There's a program in place, and you said it's the Doppler radar system and HARP and what else?
and aerial spraying still the most effective. And
what do they do?
They do have patents.
When you say aerial spraying, what are they spraying?
Barium salts, aluminum dioxide, radioactive isotopes.
They're
Barium and
spraying them in
aluminum?
the air.
Yeah, but
Why are they doing that?
And the aluminum is because it does a bunch of things. They're testing a bunch of stuff. They're manipulating things. Listen, our Pentagon's
Right, but
so
where
crazy.
why do you have evidence that they're doing this and spraying aluminum and barium,
you
whatever
can go
it is?
online and read the Department of Energy. It's all public. Just like he just
You
said.
can go online and watch a Chinese dude get jacked by a tiger.
No, I agree.
That's out there,
now, you
too.
can go to the departmentofenergy.gov.
Right.
And you can watch CFR, the CIA director at the time, Brennan, admitting all this. This is all public.
Yeah, he admitted
Okay.
it. He talked about
But
it.
no, I saw it. I saw the video. We could play the video and go over it if you want. But he's
Yeah.
talking about various options for controlling global warming.
Yeah.
They're laying out the future. Look, if global warming
there's
is...
a guy,
Hold
I
on a
forget his
second.
name.
Hold on a second. If global warming is real, and we know it is, right? Don't you think they would
don't believe
have...
that.
You don't believe global warming's real?
I think
so
it's a
when they
scam.
keep measuring these temperatures and scientists keep
No,
saying that
they
this
got
is the
caught
hottest year
faking
on
the
record...
temperatures.
Okay.
They came out and
well,
hacked
let's-
emails.
Well, let's find out what
Joe,
the most
I believe
recent
global
thing
warming's
is. 'Cause there
real.
was
I believe it's real.
Okay.
I believe that it goes high, it goes cold. There's
Right.
always micro temperatures
There
and
is always a
microclimates.
big change. There's shifts
Change
throughout
is the
time.
only thing that ever
Right.
happens.
That's I
but
think we all
paying
agree on
carbon
that.
taxes to Al Gore won't fix it.
Okay, I think we all
with
agree
that.
that
I'm
there's
with that.
shifts. But what I'm saying is there absolutely is global warming, right?
What does the
I
CIA
know this,
have to
but
do
hold
with
on a
global
second.
warming?
Hold
Let
on
me
a
tell you,
second,
my
because we're
dad's
talking-
farmhouse, when my dad was a kid in the 1950s, for 3-4 months out of the year, it was below zero or freezing, and you had to chop wood, and you'd freeze your ass off, and all houses had, even in the South, had all sorts of chimneys in them for fireplaces because it was freezing cold.
Right.
And now there has been a warming period, but that's part of a normal global cycle based on the sun. All these astrophysicists are sure the whole thing about claiming it's the carbon we put out. The Earth is carbon starved. There's a carbon cycle. That's the big story I want to get to, that the globalists want to tax. If they can tax oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, or sunlight, they have total control over the whole life cycle of the planet.
Well, let's play the video. This CIA guy talking about it, because what I inferred from it is that they're
So
trying
CIA
to come
director.
up with some sort of solutions if global warming becomes a giant
By the way,
issue.
Brennan is a freaking
Right.
known Wahhabist.
What? Joe,
Hold on.
Joe, look at
Converted
it like
to
a
Islam.
detective.
Hold on.
What does the CIA have
Let's
to
watch
do
the video
with
first.
global warming?
It's a good question. What do they have to do? I don't know what the
Exactly.
CIA does. Do you
They're
know?
supposed
The
to
Central
stop spreading
Intelligence
communism.
Agency.
They were built to stop the spread of communism.
Right, but it's an intelligence
Yeah.
agency.
What do they have
They're
to do
part
with
of
the environment?
Okay, they're a part of the intelligence community. And if they got hired, I would imagine, this is just me guessing right off the top of my head, if they got hired to assess a threat, and the threat being from global warming, like what do we have to worry about? Are we really going to lose cities? Do we really have an issue
No,
where
their
the grid
answer
goes
is
down?
give George Soros and the UN total power for a $100 trillion per decade global tax to micromanage and surveil everything humans do.
Let's
because
hear.
if carbon's toxic, they've got to surveil it. Thus, they have a jurisdiction to
Hold
control
up.
our lives.
Okay, hold up. Why does it say debunked? CIA director admits chemtrails, geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injections. So it says the claim.
Guys, the
is that
Council on
Brennan,
Foreign
hold
Relations
on,
wrote a
hold
white
on,
paper calling
hold
for it.
on, hold on. At the council admits geoengineering in the form of stratospheric aerosol injections (SAI) is taking place, i.e. chemtrails. And the rebuttal is nowhere in his speech is there an admission that an SAI program is already taking place. The part where Brennan mentions geoengineering is just one example out of several not often mentioned issues that the CIA monitors for potential elements of instability in the world. A SAI program, if ever implemented, could penetrate conflicts and security threats if misused. The CIA's job is to consider all types of concepts for potential
right, let me
future
give you the facts
problems
here.
and threats, including the science-oriented concepts. That's totally
right, well,
possible.
let me break down the
right, but
reality
isn't
here.
that possible?
Let me break down the reality.
But what that guy just said, is that possible?
No, that's basically what Brennan said.
But what he's saying is that there are potential threats.
Do you want to hear what I said?
Environmentally, it's an issue, right? So he's not admitting that there's an
No,
SAI
they
program.
are. Let me tell you.
Okay, go ahead, tell me.
Everybody debates how many programs there are, all the specifics. A lot of that's classified. You can Google China launches major weather control operations 10 years ago.
Right.
Or Qatar does it, or Saudi Arabia, or the UK, or
For
EU.
sure, people have studied it.
No,
right?
They call it study. There's a giant. Hell, in 2005, the Department of Energy program for aerosol testing was $5 billion a year. So under U.S. Code Title 50, Chapter 32, subsection 1528, paragraph B.
Is that true? You nailed that right there?
Yes, yes.
What are you, from Mars?
Under U.S. Code Title...
Do you live on that obelisk?
That was fucking insane.
Let me just tell you.
I can't even remember the last time Machida fought. And this motherfucker...
Listen, under U.S. Code Title 50, Chapter 32, subsection 1528, paragraph B.
That's
Find
insane.
that shit.
That's insane.
No, but under
Hold
that-
on. Say it slow and let Jamie write it up. Jamie.
U.S. Code Title 50, Chapter... I gotta say it fast to remember it.
U.S. Code Title 50,
Chapter 32, subsection 1528, paragraph B.
Subsection 128.
The real fast brain only works at
Paragraph
that speed.
B.
In fact, speech can't even say it. You have like one thought.
Jesus
U.S.
Christ.
Code, Chapter 32.
How the fuck do you know that?
Subsection 130.
Restrictions on use of human subjects for testing of chemtrails. Go back. There you go. Or biological agents.
All right. Now, what they do in this is they say it's illegal to test unless it's for research. Then you're allowed to even kill people if it's for research purposes.
Do you know that's how some of those Japanese whaler vessels get away with killing whales still? They say it's for research purposes.
Exactly.
And they kill the whales and sell them. It's some dark shit.
Yeah, no. The
Scam.
elites are the mad
It's a scam.
scientists,
Everything.
engineers. I'm going to give you the big secret, man. If you want
Yes, I do.
I'm not kidding around.
I know, I'm not either.
The thing is, they're the high priests. They're scientists.
Right.
They're engineers. They're allowed to kill people, test stuff on kids, inject black people with syphilis, all the declassified stuff, because they are scientists. All the real executioners, torturers, or most of them, or people making decisions, are doctors. And so it's all medical doctor stuff in this big breakaway civilization of scientists.
Okay.
And so that's what they've built. And under research provisions, they can even kill anybody they want.